This is Newsmax TV. I'm Ashley Martella, and we're happy to be joined again by Oklahoma Senator Jim Inhofe, the top Republican on the Senate Environment Committee. Welcome to Newsmax, Senator.
Well, it's nice to be back with you, Ashley.
You're taking a Truth Squad to the Global Warming Conference in Copenhagen, Denmark. Please explain what that's all about and what you hope to accomplish by it.
Well, my concern was that we knew that Barbara Boxer and John Kerry and that whole crowd was going to go, and I just want to make sure. I think it's a great disservice to the other 191 countries to tell them something that isn't true, to tell them that we're going to either pass a cap and trade or something, we're going to do something on emission reductions. And I understand, quite frankly, that the president is going to commit to a 17% reduction in CO2 emissions by 2020. Now, I want to make sure that I can go and talk after him and say that just is not true. We're not going to do it. So that's the main reason. I think there's so much just flat out lying that's going on right now in terms of where we are in this country. The other day, I was on a program 2 nights ago, I guess, with Markey, and he was saying, oh, his bill is still alive. His bill is dead. You know, it's sitting in the Senate. It'll never come up, and nor is the Kerry-Boxer bill going to come up. Now, we do have the situation that's come up in terms of the endangerment finding, and it's something that's kind of confusing to try to explain to people. The endangerment finding, it says that we will treat CO2 as a pollutant, along with the other 5 that are really pollutants, in terms of how to conduct our policy in America. So people are concerned that that's going to happen. So the endangerment finding has already come up. Ironically, it was on opening day of Copenhagen. That surprised a lot of people, I'm sure. And the endangerment finding is now going to come back to the Federal Register. Now, when it appears there, that means there'll be a lawsuit that will be filed. And let me tell you why that is. This is just my opinion. Lisa Jackson is the administrator of the EPA. She's the president's appointee as administrator. When she was before our committee, I had asked her to reconfirm that the science that is going to be used if they should come up with an endangerment finding is going to be that of the IPCC. She said, yes, that's true. And we also had that in a letter from her in writing from about 3 weeks before. Then, of course, when Climategate came out, the IPCC has been totally discredited. And so what they'll be doing is say, we have an endangerment finding, and it's based on the science of the IPCC. So I know it's a little complicated, but that's what's, I would imagine that the courts would agree with that.
All right, let's talk about that dictate, that mandate from Lisa Jackson you mentioned. She said she now has the power to regulate greenhouse gases, and she intends to do that. Now, Senator, you and I talked about this possibility many months ago, but now that it's a done deal, in your view, does Obama have the power to unilaterally commit the United States to an international global warming treaty in Copenhagen, thereby circumventing Congress?
He definitely does not, and I can't be more emphatic than that. They can come out with a declaration, as they have in terms of the finding, an endangerment finding, but that is going to be tied up, that could be tied up in court for 5 years, certainly beyond the 2010 election, when I think we're going to take over anyway. So for that reason, yes, he has the power if people don't challenge him, but that will be challenged in court. That is a certainty. So the answer is no. And there's another thing here too, Ashley. He didn't want to do it with an endangerment finding for a very good reason. He wanted us to pass something like a cap and trade bill so that when the economy falls apart 2 or 3 years from now, he can point and say, I didn't do that, Congress did it. And now, of course, he can't say that because it's an endangerment finding, which is in the executive. That means that's him who did it. So he didn't want to do this, and frankly, I think he'll welcome. The best thing for him would be if there are lawsuits and they stall this thing, because he has then pacified the left and doesn't have to live with the consequences.
All right, regarding those Climategate emails that reveal correspondence about manipulated climate change data, you say you'll investigate it. What do you intend to do, Senator?
Well, we tried to investigate it. I wanted to do it through the Court of Jurisdiction, or the Committee of Jurisdiction, which is the Environment Public Works. Unfortunately, that is chaired by Barbara Boxer, who will not do it. Now, we have the university over in Anglia in Great Britain. doing investigation. We have the Penn State University doing an investigation. But the biggest sham is, and I want to make sure everyone hears this, that the United Nations now say that they're going to investigate. But wait a minute, the IPCC that they'd be investigating, that's the United Nations. So the United Nations will investigate the United Nations. So we sent a letter that went out this morning with a lot of signatures on it to the United Nations saying we want an independent investigation, not the UN investigating themselves. So that's what's going on right now with investigations. I'm sure there will be more to come. And keep in mind now, UK, who's been very strong on the other side of this issue, now has characterized this as probably one of the greatest science scandal of our generation. And so it's not, and this is important for any of our viewers, our audience, to understand that this is not just a few people putting this interpretation on it. This is what they're now. The UK is actually changing, is going to reevaluate their science for the past over 100 years based on the fact that they have manipulated this science, and that's how serious this thing is. So well, I have to say this, Ashley, because we talked before, and I said they don't have the votes to pass a cap and trade. That's true, they don't. And they didn't in spite of it, even before Climategate. But with Climategate, that's the clincher.
Any hope at all, considering Congress is controlled by Democrats and the White House is controlled by Democrats, leadership all liberal, any chance at all for an investigation here in the U.S. into Climategate?
Well, I think there is, but there would not be a fair investigation by Congress, either House of Congress, because for the obvious reasons that you just now had in your question. They have a majority. They're going to defend, protect themselves. They are, actually, they're in denial right now. They have to know it's over, but they just cannot believe it. You stop and think that we have people that have had 15 years of their lives tied up into this thing, hoping and praying that the world is going to come to an end. Now they find out that they're not going to be able to pass this stuff.
Okay, of course, your committee passed the cap and trade legislation with only Democrats voting. Republicans boycotted the vote. And yet, considering that, you think cap and trade doesn't stand a prayer in the full Senate?
Not a prayer. Now, keep in mind, I've said this publicly, and I don't say it with out of disrespect, but there is no bill that is so liberal and so bad that the Environment and Public Works Committee can't pass it. Barbara Boxer is the chairman. They have a 4-vote majority, and there's just no way that they'll pass anything. It's kind of all the Democrat liberals in the Senate are on that committee.
Oklahoma Senator Jim Inhofe, always a pleasure. Thanks so much, sir. And thank you for watching Newsmax TV. Sarah Palin's new book, Going Rogue in American Life, will be released on November 17th. You can be among the first to get your copy. Check out our incredible free offer for Sarah's new book. Just go to Newsmax.com and click on the top banner for this great offer. Act today.